On my granddaughter's birthday, my daughter-in-law told me, "You're not invited. She doesn't even like you." She took my gift from my hands and threw it in the trash. My son looked away, pretending not to notice. My voice trembled as I said, "You'll regret telling that lie when she sees what I left behind."
My name's Diane.
I'm 68. I live alone in Eugene, Oregon. I used to be a nurse, worked nights for nearly 30 years. My husband, Tom, passed 5 years ago from pancreatic cancer. He was the steady one, the buffer. Since he's been gone, it's been harder, especially with my son.
Mark.
Mark is my only child. I raised him mostly on my own even while married, if I'm being honest. Tom provided, but it was me who was always there. Field trips, scraped knees, late-night fevers, I was there. I missed sleep, I missed meals. I didn't miss him. I loved being his mom. Still do. But that love feels like it's become a one-way street. When he brought Alyssa home, I had a feeling right away. I didn't say anything. I kept my mouth shut. You don't want to be that mother-in-law. She was polite, sure. But it was that empty politeness. The kind that makes you feel like you're one polite mistake away from being shut out completely. They got married 9 years ago. I paid for part of the wedding not because they asked, but because I wanted to help. They were tight on money, and I thought it would bring us closer. Instead, I was seated behind Alyssa's coworkers and some woman she knew from bar class. My name wasn't even in the program. Still, I smiled. I gave them space. Then Mia was born. My only grandchild. I was so excited. I dropped off meals. I offered to come sit with the baby while they napped. I even made a scrapbook with photos of Mark when he was a baby so they could see the resemblance. Alyssa always had a reason to say no. We've got it handled. Not a good time. Maybe next month. At first, I thought maybe I was overstepping, so I pulled back. Tried other ways. I sent birthday gifts. Left sweet notes. Kept my visits short and respectful. But I started to notice things. When I visited, Alyssa would put on a show, just enough to keep up appearances. But if I stayed more than 10 minutes, she'd start looking at the clock. And Mark, he just faded. No more, "Hey mom, how are you?" Just tired eyes, one-word answers, and no real effort. Last Christmas, I dropped off presents on their porch because they said they were keeping it small this year. I saw through the window. Her parents were there. Full dinner spread, laughter. I stood in the snow for a minute before walking back to my car, numb. I didn't cry. I'd run out of tears by then. But Mia, she was always sweet when I saw her. A little shy, but she'd hug me. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could still be part of her life. I started working on something special for her birthday, a shadow box with real pressed flowers, a piece of lace for my wedding dress, and a tiny locket with a photo of me holding her as a baby. I spent weeks making it. Every detail mattered. I wanted her to have something personal, something from me. The party was last month. I wasn't technically invited, but no one said not to come. So I showed up early. I wore my best sweater. I brought the gift, wrapped in soft pink paper with a white satin ribbon. I took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Mark opened it. He didn't even smile. "Hey, Mom," he said, quiet.
No worries.
Then Alyssa walked into the hallway. She crossed her arms. "You're not invited," she said, calm like it was business. "She doesn't even like you." I blinked, trying to process it. What? She doesn't like you. She never talks about you. You keep trying, and it's just uncomfortable. For everyone. Then she reached out, took the gift from my hands like it was a bag of trash, walked over to the kitchen, and threw it in the garbage. Just like that. I turned to Mark, hoping, begging. He'd say something. But he looked away, picked up a napkin off the coffee table, pretended not to hear. That hurt worse than anything she said. I felt my face burn. I couldn't breathe for a second. My voice shook. You'll regret telling that lie when she sees what I left behind. Alyssa laughed under her breath and shut the door. But here's the thing. She doesn't know what I did 6 months ago. After the Christmas shutout, I started preparing for the worst. I opened a trust in Mia's name. It's not a fortune, but it'll be enough for her to go to college or start over somewhere when she's 18. I left letters, one for every birthday since she was born. I wrote down memories, moments, things about Mark when he was young, things about our family she'll never hear from Alyssa. And that locket? I made two. One of them's locked away in the safe deposit box with the trust documents. One day, Mia will find it, with the truth.
She'll know I didn't walk away.
I was pushed. She'll know who really kept me out. And maybe, just maybe, she'll come find me. After that day at the doorstep, I didn't call. I didn't text. I didn't even try to check Mia's school website like I used to see her class picture. I shut down. My neighbor, Carol, asked why I hadn't seen my granddaughter in a while, and I just told her family stuff. She nodded. She's been through it too. Different story, same ache. But inside, I was unraveling. Every room in my house reminded me of them. The bookshelf where I kept Mia's baby pictures. The closet with the gifts I bought months in advance, craft kits, picture books, little sweaters. I'd go in, look at them, then close the door and sit in silence. I started leaving the TV on at night, just for the noise. The quiet had started feeling like a punishment. Then 2 weeks after her birthday, I got a call. It was from a friend of mine, Angie, whose daughter happens to be in the same Girl Scout troop as Mia. She sounded nervous. Diane, I don't know how to tell you this, but they said some things about you at the troop meeting, in front of other parents. I could barely speak. What kind of things? They said you were unstable. That you used to show up unannounced and scare Mia. That they had to keep you away for her safety. My stomach dropped. That's not true. That's not even. I know, she said quickly. I know you. That's why I wanted to tell you. But Alyssa was saying it loud, like she wanted people to hear. I sat on the edge of my bed after I hung up. My hands were shaking. I'd gone from being quietly pushed aside to being smeared, erased, and rewritten into some crazy version of myself. It wasn't enough for her to shut the door in my face. Now she had to poison the air behind it too. And Mark? Still silent. No call. No text. Nothing. I gave it another month. Then I sent him a short email. I didn't even ask to see Mia. I just said I'd heard something disturbing and wanted to hear it from him, not the neighborhood grapevine. No reply, but I could see from social media, through other people's tagged photos, that they were out and about like nothing happened. Apple picking. Pumpkin patches. Family game nights. Alyssa's mother commenting on every photo. So lucky to have such a close family. I started wondering what Mia was hearing,
What they were telling her about me.
I pictured her asking why I wasn't at her party and being told, Grandma didn't want to come. Or worse, she scares you, remember? It broke me. So I went back to the lawyer. I updated the trust. I added a letter, not for Mia, but for Mark. I didn't want to, but I had to say my piece. I told him how much it hurt, how much I gave. How I used to picture him growing up and being the kind of father who protected his child's right to love freely, not the kind who looked away while someone ripped that love apart. Then I did something else. Something I wasn't planning to do. I added a clause. If anything happens to me before Mia turns 18, if I pass and she never gets to know me, she'll still get the trust. But it will come with everything. The letters, the photos, the video of me telling my story. And included in that package, screenshots, printouts of every email I sent, every response, or lack of one. Even the voicemail I saved from the first time they canceled on Christmas 3 years ago. The one where Alyssa said, "We just want to have a peaceful day without any awkwardness." I made sure Mia would see it all. The quiet rejections, the cold politeness, the rewriting of our history. Alyssa thinks she won. She thinks she erased me, but I kept the receipts, and Mia will get them. Not today, not next year, but someday. About 6 months after the birthday, I got a letter in the mail. It was from the bank where I opened Mia's trust. At first, I thought it was a routine statement. It wasn't. It was a notice saying a request had been made to dissolve the trust by the legal guardians of the minor beneficiary. My hands went cold. I called the bank immediately. After verifying who I was, the representative confirmed that yes, someone claiming to be Mia's parent had submitted a formal inquiry asking about the contents and terms of the trust. They wanted to know if the money could be redirected, either released early for family use or repurposed under a different guardian. I nearly dropped the phone. I asked who made the request. He hesitated, then said, "Mark A. Holloway." My son. I didn't even know how he knew about the trust. I never told him. I never told anyone except my lawyer. I drove straight to my lawyer's office. He made a few calls and found out someone had tried to impersonate me as trustee by using my full name and former address, an address Mark would have remembered from years ago. The signature on the documents was a poor attempt at forging mine. It wasn't even subtle. It was arrogant. I felt sick. My own son, who wouldn't look me in the eye while his wife threw my gift in the trash, had tried to steal from his daughter. To erase the last thing I had left to give her. I didn't say anything to them. Not yet. Instead, my lawyer sent a cease and desist letter and filed a formal record with the bank. He also amended the trust again, this time with a legal stipulation that no guardian, parent, or proxy could touch a dime of it. Only Mia, once she turned 18, could access it. And the penalties for interference?
Clear.
Enforced by law. But I wasn't done. The more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't about money. It was about control. They weren't content just cutting me off. They wanted to make sure I didn't matter, even in death. That's when I decided to take it one step further. I reached out to my friend Sharon, who used to work in school administration. She helped me draft a letter to Mia's elementary school, carefully written, respectful, and sent through my lawyer to make it legitimate. All it said was that I had no legal custody or contact rights, but I had created a time-locked financial gift for my granddaughter. We asked that this be noted discreetly, with no contact attempt required. It was just a breadcrumb, something Mia might see one day in her school file. A name, a note, a hint that someone outside that house still thought she mattered. I thought that was the end of it. Then came the real blow. Sharon called me a few weeks later, panicked. Alyssa came to the school. She found out about the note. She demanded it be removed, said you were a danger to the child. Claimed you were stalking them. She wasn't just trying to cut me off. She was trying to rewrite me as something dangerous. Someone who needed to be erased. And still, Mark did nothing. But I kept my calm. I made no contact. I said nothing online. I didn't knock on their door. I didn't beg. I just waited. Because the more they pushed, the more truth I documented. And the more they lied, the harder it would hit when the truth came out. This wasn't just about being pushed out anymore. This was about justice. And I was going to get it. I waited 6 more years. I lived quietly. No more attempts at contact.
No emails.
No notes. I stopped sending gifts. I stopped asking mutual friends about Mia. I didn't want Alyssa using anything else against me. But behind the silence, I kept building. Every birthday, I updated the letters. I wrote about what was happening. Truthfully, calmly, plainly. I kept records. Every communication attempt, every photo of returned gifts, every message ignored. I kept receipts, paper trails. I built a complete file on the kind of silence that cuts deeper than screaming ever could. Then, the summer Mia turned 13, something shifted. Out of nowhere, I got a letter. Not a card. A handwritten letter, addressed in shaky, careful print.
Y Grandma Diana.
I hope it's okay to write you. I found your name in a book my dad had in the garage. I don't remember a lot, but I remember your laugh. I sat in my kitchen reading that letter over and over until the sun went down. She remembered. She remembered me. She wrote about how she always wondered why I disappeared. That she asked sometimes, but Alyssa would just say, "It's complicated." She found a photo once, me holding her as a baby, and kept it hidden in her room. She asked if she could write again. I wrote back carefully.
No blam.
Just stories. Memories. I included copies of her early birthday letters. I told her I loved her. That I never chose to disappear. That was the start. We wrote in secret for almost 2 years. And then, A month before she turned 16, she wrote this. I want to know what really happened.
The whole story.
I'm old enough. So I gave it to her. Not all at once. I gave her pieces. Screenshots of texts. The story of the birthday gift in the trash. The forged signature on the trust documents. The letter I sent to her school. I even sent her the original video I recorded me speaking to a future version of her, explaining why I stayed away. Mia's reply was just one line. They lied to me. 3 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered. It was Mark. His voice shook. What the hell did you tell her? I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I said, the truth. The truth you never had the spine to tell. You poisoned her against us. No, I said calmly. You did that the day you let her mother throw my gift in the trash and looked away. He hung up, but the damage was already done, just not the kind he expected. Mia didn't run away. She didn't scream at them. She did something better. She printed out copies of the letters I sent, the emails, the gift list, the cease and desist. She sat her parents down and laid it all out. She told them they had until her 18th birthday to make it right, or they'd never see her again. They tried, of course. Alyssa cried. Mark tried to explain, but it was too late. The paper trail was too long. The lies were too deep. And the final blow? When Mia turned 18, she accessed her trust. She found the full journal, the court records. My final message to her. If you're reading this, they didn't win. She decided to tell the story publicly. Not on social media, but in her college application essay. She wrote about generational silence, about a grandmother's love erased, about truth being buried by people who were supposed to protect her. She got into every school she applied to. She's going to NYU next year. Full ride. She asked me to help her move into her dorm. Mark and Alyssa weren't invited. And the best part? She wears that locket. The one I made when she was 7. The one Alyssa threw in the trash. But this one, the second one I kept safe, hangs around Mia's neck every day. Where it belongs.